What's going on, guys? MegaGig back with another video. I have gotten a ton of requests for this build. If I had tried it out, what I thought of it, and I've been working with this for some time now, since somebody first mentioned it. I think maybe I've finally got kind of a working build, and you might say, why didn't you just look up an old one? And I did. I looked at quite a few, and none of them really seemed to work very well with the new stuff. Now, one thing I want to say, I'm not sure if Unity is bugged, but I was initially running Unity in here, and then running you get the 4-piece bonus from Wrath of the Wastes, and then also Call of the Ancients, and still so squishy. Toughness was barely 150 million. Swapped that out for Band of Might. And oh, and I also at the time had Warcry, and I tried it with both of these runes, and it was pretty much the same. So I got rid of Warcry, I threw in Battle Rage, and then now I'm using Band of Might because it's 30% more damage reduction than Unity, and all of a sudden my toughness shot up to nearly 600 million. So I'm not sure if Unity's bugged. That 30% shouldn't take me from 150 million to almost 600 million. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on there with the toughness. But this is kind of what I've come up with. We're going to go over it. Obviously, we're still in the PTR. This build is not final. And you guys that have used this build in the past, I am really looking forward to what you have to say in the comments of things that you would try and maybe do different than what I'm doing today. The one thing that this build really suffers over now, I've got it doing decent damage, and it's got decent toughness, is Fury management. Now it's okay throughout most of the Rift using Weapon Master and Unforgiving. The problem is when you get to the Rift Guardian, even using these two passives, you just run out of Fury after a couple of casts of Rend, and Unforgiving doesn't generate very fast, and Weapon Master doesn't generate very fast, and you end up with a lot of downtime, not really being able to attack the Rift Guardian much. I did get rid of Rampage for Animosity, and that helped. And actually, we'll go ahead and do that just so the Rift Guardian doesn't take so long. But I really don't like having to have 3 Fury generating skills here. Ruthless is good. It helps finish enemies off as they're bleeding when they get close to death. So Ruthless is good. We're going to keep that. Let's go over what we got in the cube here. We're using the Furnace. We're using Lamentation, so Rend can now stack up to 2 times. And we are using Band of Might because we're using Furious Charge, and this provides you a buttload of toughness. As for the skills, we're using Rend Bloodbath to keep Rend up longer, to have it spread and reapply itself on enemies that are around other enemies when it dies, and it's also a physical rune. Whirlwind Blood Funnel for the heals, Furious Charge Merciless Assault for the cooldown, Battle Rage Bloodshed for the explosion damage. You can swap this out for other things if you like, guys. Again, this build is not final. I'm really looking forward to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. But this is just what I'm working with today. Call the Ancients together as one. Wrath of Berserker Insanity. A lot of older versions of this actually use Striding Giant. But I find that once I switch to Band of Might in the cube, I can switch to Insanity, and I'm okay on toughness. Then, of course, we're using Weapon Master. You saw we switched to Animosity, Ruthless, and Unforgiving. And we are using a Mighty Weapon, so we are going to be generating 2 Fury per hit. The problem is, with using the Immortal King's Boulder Breaker, you actually don't spin. It looks like you spin really fast, but you don't really spin near as fast as a normal Whirlwind build. So that 2 Fury per hit doesn't really add up very fast. It does in a very big group, but in small mobs and on a single target, it doesn't really. Animosity, increase our Fury generation. Unforgiving, we generate Fury now, so we can start off at full fury, and Ruthless to finish off enemies quicker. As for the build itself, now you might wonder, why are we running Band of Might in here? I couldn't get a really good one, and you want that full 80%. You're really going to want that damage reduction. So I'm actually running a Ring of Royal Grandeur here. I had a decent one in my stash. It's nothing to write home about, but it is a decent ring to swap out for. So we're just wearing the Ring of Royal Grandeur here, and for extra damage we're also wearing a Convention of Elements. And for our amulet, we are wearing a Hellfire Amulet to gain the Boon of Bolcathos passive. You can also wear one, particularly gain the Superstition passive if you like, and Superstition reduces all your non-physical damage by 20%, and you also have a chance to gain 2 Fury when you take elemental or range damage. So it does kind of help a little bit with Fury management running this, but not that much. And I actually find myself without the Bolcathos passive, I find myself having to cast Rend a lot more times to get your Wrath of the Berserker off of cooldown, because the Fury you're spending on Whirlwind does not cool down your Wrath of the Berserker all the way, even with Boon of Bolcathos. So I don't know, it's still a work in progress, definitely. But Superstition is an option. We are using the Bolcathos passive though here. We're also using the Nemesis Bracers. Can't really think of too many bracers that would go super good with this. A lot of people used to run Ancient Parthian Defenders. We don't really have a lot of stun going on in this build though. Merciless Assault, where is it? Yeah, we're not running all the runes, so we don't have the Cold Rush rune. So not a lot of stun going off. You can use the, I don't actually have a pair right now. I can't think of what they are, but enemies take a certain % more damage when they're affected by knockbacks for 6 seconds. And that is affected by that, so you can run that. I'm just running my good old Nemesis Bracers. As for the gems, we are running a Tagic, not a Tagic, as I like to say, but a Tagic, as it is properly pronounced. That can be swapped out for a Bane of the Trapped, or you can also swap out a Pain Enhancer for Bane of the Trapped. And then we're also using a Bane of the Stricken. The reason you can swap one of these two out, and really they both have just a little bit more use, I think, besides straight up damage from this. This you also gain the armor stacks, and the actual damage multiplier on this is higher than this, although this makes them take 41% total more damage from everything, whereas this just increases your base damage by you know, whatever % you have rolled there. So take that for what it is. Also, the reason I am using Pain Enhancer is because, for one, the bleed is kind of nice. It helps the dot of your Rend to kill them faster. It adds in a little bit, and I've been told, and from what I've seen, Rend can actually crit. It just doesn't show up in yellow. And that's what it looks like on my screen too. You can see some really big Rend numbers pop up, but they won't be yellow. And people on the forums all over say that those are crits. They just don't show up in yellow for some reason. So they can proc this. And then also the attack speed bonus you get from this helps you to generate that fury that we are so much starved for in this build. As for the actual gear you're going to be wearing, you need 5 pieces of Immortal Kings. We are running the head, the legs, the weapon, the feet, and the waist. And then you're going to need 3 pieces of the Wrath of the Waste set. And you do want 3 pieces of this. You don't really want to do a 2-piece set of this. You can try to swap out your shoulders for Fury of the Ancients, and that'll take care of your Fury problem. The problem is you lose your 50% damage reduction from the 4-piece set bonus, and you also lose your Rends dealing triple damage. And the fact, the whole premise of this build is to bump Rends damage by a massive amount because it's being procced by the 6-piece set as well, the 6-piece bonus of Immortal Kings. So this whole build really revolves around rend damage, so you don't really want to lose that 4-piece bonus set. Now, if you think about the buffs that have happened to the Barbarian, the Rend or the Whirlwind set is up to 1700%. It was previously 800%. Since this is buffed to 750% now, that is just 50% shy of what the actual Whirlwind set was. So this is effectively kind of like a Whirlwind build, the Whirlwind doing damage, but then you're getting an immense boost of damage from your Rends, which is what would be really nice in an actual Whirlwind build. So that is the premise of the build for Paragon points. I've pumped some into Vitality because my health is a little low with this build. And then maxed movement speed, you want to be moving around, you want to be mobile. Maxed Fury, because we do have some slight Fury problems and they become a little more major on single targets. And then I pumped the rest into Strength. I can do a 75 pretty easy. The Rift Guardian does usually pose a little bit of a problem. Once you start getting up into the 80s, it just starts taking a little bit longer. And again, my gear is not really optimized for this, I guess you would say. But I look forward to what you guys have to say about the build and what you guys would try instead. So I hope you took notes as we went over everything. And yeah, let's get into a Greater Rift 75. I'll show you how the build kind of works. And one thing interesting about this build that wow, that was totally the wrong way, that you do have to pay attention to is your Ancients. You do have to pay attention to them because they actually die fairly easily. Wow, we totally went the wrong way. But we'll go ahead and kill these guys real quick while we're on our physical roll. And then your Rends will also finish them off as you go away. So it helps you keep your what do you call it? Your Rampage stacks up. Yeah, your Ancients can actually die fairly easily in elite fights like this, especially with all the beams. And you will notice when they start to drop, because obviously you'll be taking more damage, and then if they all three drop and you don't notice, all of a sudden you won't be doing any damage. So there we go, we're down to 1 Ancient now. We'll go ahead and recast that. Thankfully, they are affected by the cooldown just like the Wrath of the Berserker skill from the Immortal Kings set. This is really a mess. Remember, you want to be casting... Actually, do I have the sound off on this? I do have the sound off on this. Sorry about that, guys. Although, maybe you wanted the sound off. What was I saying? The last thing I was saying, I've forgotten already. There we go. Oh, there's one more elite to die in there, and there he's dead. We are using Lamentation, so you do want to be casting your Rends twice. When you're in big groups like this, feel free to spam them all you want, because you're not going to have much of a Fury generation problem. And remember, we did swap out to... we are using 3 Fury generating skills now to manage our Fury a little bit easier. Mainly for the video, to make the Rift Guardian easier. And you can see our toughness there, 486. Not too bad. It does go up to about 600 million when you're running the Rampage passive. And you're at full stacks, obviously. Oh man, I hate shielding so much. You still want to try and stand in your Oculus ring, but you also want to be hitting them at the same time, so you are doing whirlwind damage and generating fury. And so if you have to pick one, sometimes you might not be able to stand in your Oculus Ring. You can see time-wise, we're really tearing it up. The damage is there. If you could run all of the optimal skills and not have to worry about fury management, the damage is definitely there. And it's honestly, it's really what the whirlwind build should be, with being able to run Rend, rather. Yeah, it's really what the whirlwind build should be. Even if you run Lamentation and stack Rend twice, the damage is not that much in a whirlwind build. But when it's affected by the Immortal Kings multiplier on the 6-piece set, the damage is definitely there, especially in bigger groups. Whoa. Oops. And I'm not sure if our ancients died there or we just took a lot of damage. And also my internet has been having some crazy issues today, so it actually looks like it's okay now, but yeah. You can see on single target we run out of fury pretty quick. And not much density is really the bane of this build. This build definitely thrives in higher density. Superstition right now, if we had it, would be gaining us a ton of fury. Darn it. Because of those beams, we're just going to skip this pack because it's getting really annoying. And with no density, it's like even worse. And you have to have both Wrath the Berserker and Ancients up to be affected by the 6-piece bonus of Immortal Kings. So do not forget that as well. And as you're going through, you can keep double rending these, and they should die as you... I don't know if there's any actual range limitation to the Immortal King's damage boost. And it didn't look like they were rended there for a second. Speed Shrine is nice. Great. More beams. Lots and lots of beams. I'm surprised my ancients haven't started to die yet. There they did. Let's go ahead and double rend him, and then we will take off and see what else we can find. Oh, that's the end of the floor. That's alright, he's almost gone. Well, not quite, but more than halfway. Oops. Darn. Not my greatest showing. Now, Rend is our main source of damage now, but don't discount Whirlwind because it is still being buffed by the Immortal King set, the 750%. So as I said before, it's pretty close to what the Whirlwind build is right now on the live server. And somebody also noted somewhere, and I don't remember where, but applying Rend twice and then having it explode on kill will apply a second stack. I cannot confirm or deny that 100%, but it is what I read on the forums. I don't know if that is still true. I don't know if it was ever true. And every now and then I see a gold number pop up from a distance, so I don't know if that's Rend, or I don't know if that is one of the Dust Devils being created by... Actually, it has to be Rend, because we don't have the Dust Devils on Whirlwind right now, because we don't have the 6-piece set bonus of the Whirlwind set. One nice thing about this build is fighting very mobile enemies. All you gotta do is get Rend on them twice, and then you don't really have to worry about chasing them down as much. Yeah, this is what the Whirlwind build should be. I realize that Rend has 2 buffs already in the Whirlwind build. Neither of them really make Rend feel like something special. So either Rend itself needs to be reworked, or Rend also needs to be affected by the 6-piece set bonus. That would be nice. And they actually fixed a some kind of glitch error that was going on with... of course, more beams. Why more beams? It was going on with Battle Rage, Bloodshed, the Bloodshed rune, the reworked version. It wasn't scaling with hits or something. I don't entirely understand. I've read it like 5 times, and it doesn't really make sense what they're saying. It wasn't scaling with the damage proc coefficient. And math was never my strong suit, so... but it feels like a nerf. They said it wasn't supposed to be a nerf, it was just a fix, but it feels like a nerf to me. Bloodshed does not do as much damage. With my Whirlwind build, I have been struggling to clear Greater Rifts as high as I was. I cleared a 95 somewhat decently before the quote-unquote fix, and now I've really struggled. I actually haven't been able to clear a 95 since they fixed that. So Bloodshed, Battle Rage, the Bloodshed rune is fixed, but it's nerfed, in my opinion, at least from what I've seen. So yeah, take that for what it is. Yeah, it's just my opinion. Oh, that hurts. Yeah, those Dark Berserkers, man, they really hurt. And we might not even clear this 75, so... Oops. Darn it, screwed everything up. Ay, ay, ay. Alright. Definitely kind of a gimmicky build. Like I said, this is really what the Whirlwind build should be when it comes to Rend. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any Fury. Thankfully, he does summon he does summon enemies, so hopefully he'll summon them and we'll be able to try and keep your Rend stacks on them. This is where your Fury shoulders would come in handy. Yeah, it doesn't look like we're actually going to get this. Bummer. If he would hurry up and summon his minions so we could actually do some damage here. And you can see we're using 3... I can't get into skills in here. But we're using 3 Fury items, or 3 Fury passives. And we're not able to keep our Fury up on a single target. So the Rift Guardian, and then when we can't keep our Fury up, we can't keep our Wrath of Berserker up. So how do you guys manage Fury on this build? What are some suggestions? If you're able to keep attacking, you can generate Fury just fine if you have a group of minions to fight. Like I said, this works really well in giant groups, lots of density. Come on, summon some more. Summon some more of your critters. Ugh. Even if you were running a shout here, yes, you would generate a little bit more Fury, but not much, and the cooldown isn't really affected by the set, so it doesn't make a whole lot of difference if you're running Threatening Shout or Warcry. But there we go. If we hadn't died a couple of times, we probably would have got it right on the edge of time. But so what do you guys think of this build? I know a lot of you guys have been asking me to cover this build, and yeah, so let me know what you think. Any suggestions are greatly appreciated, and I'll surely try them out. And yeah, Fury generation seems to be the main issue with this build, and even running Weapon Master, Animosity, and Unforgiving, it's just yeah, on single target or even just 2 or 3, it really is a pain to keep your Fury at maximum. So yeah, so what do you guys think of the build itself? Let me know down in the comments. If you like the video, leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks guys for watching, and more good stuff to come. Take care.